A flight to the coast of Bulgaria turns into a nightmare.
Unless we fly to Vienna, I will kill you.
A pilot finds himself negotiating with armed hijackers at 13,000 feet.
I saw the guy with knife. I was shocked.
Stay calm. We want to help you.
The pilots must stay one step ahead of the violent hijackers.
Do not get in our way!
We should turn.
I thought that they would kill me.
The crew needs the hijackers to believe they are landing in Vienna. Their plan makes history.
They have to turn off the lights.
At the airport?
No. The whole city.
Some candy?
Balkan Bulgarian Airlines Flight 013 has just left Sofia for the Black Sea resort town of Varna.
That was probably the most popular domestic flight back at the time, because it takes tourists to the most popular destinations at the northern part of the Black Sea.
Weather looks good. We'll hold at this altitude until we reach Delta Whiskey November.
Plamen Stalev is at the controls of tonight's flight. He's been with the airline for 3 years.
It was not a challenging flight. I did many flights to Varna, and it was a normal airport, nothing special.
Maintaining 130 and your speed's a little low.
Czech captain Ilya Lalov is the other pilot. He's training Stalev.
That was one of his last flights before becoming a captain.
It's just after 6:15. Valentin Ivanov and Lachazar Ivanov are amongst the passengers traveling to Varna.
She's coming. She's coming. Spokojno. Spokojno.
Valentina Valia Yordanova is the only flight attendant on board.
I came to the passengers who shouted at me to help them.
He's sick. Please help.
But they pushed me beside them, then they pulled the knife. This all happened in a fraction of a second. Beside me, 2 hijackers were keeping 2 passengers in front of them as hostages.
Unless we fly to Vienna, I will kill you.
They told me that they want to fly to Vienna. Otherwise, they will kill me and passengers.
We can let the pilots know.
I was trying to talk with them, to calm them.
We'll fly to Vienna. You don't have to hurt anyone.
This is my most important duty, to calm the atmosphere.
Hey! We are flying to Vienna. If anyone tries to stop us,
They will be killed.
He was walking through the aisle with the knife and he was threatening the passengers.
we are just out of prison and have nothing to lose. We will break windows.
And we will crash this plane. If we have to.
Do not get in our way.
Understand.
"45 minutes to touchdown. We are right on schedule."
In the cockpit, the pilots have no idea about the dangerous situation unfolding behind them.
We were 15 minutes after takeoff. The flight was fine, everything was in order.
We need to talk to the pilots.
Then you need to let me go to the front of the plane.
No! Talk to the pilots now!
The only way to communicate with the cockpit is through an intercom located at the front of the plane.
Unfortunately, they refused to let me go.
Somebody! Pick up the white phone. When the pilots answer, just tell them what's happening.
They were so frightened that nobody wanted to do this.
Someone has to go to the cockpit and tell the pilots.
You go.
They must go to Vienna. Tell them.
No, wait.
I told him, don't open the door. We have to check who is knocking at the door. Security reason, of course. We saw that it's a man with a military uniform, and that's why we take decision to allow him to come inside.
There are 4 hijackers on board, armed with knives.
So initially, I thought that it's a joke, and I can't believe that this happened.
They're holding hostages and insist we fly to Vienna.
Yeah. Tell them we will do what they want. I don't think we can make Vienna.
Not without more fuel. Maybe suggest a closer alternative?
The plane is carrying enough fuel for the 1-hour trip from Sofia to Varna. But Vienna is more than 550 miles in the opposite direction, more than 2 hours away.
Planes usually carry a specific amount of fuel that is just enough to take the plane to its intended destination, plus a little bit of reserve for an alternate airport. So in that case, the pilots couldn't just decide to fly to Vienna.
They will do what you ask. Just be calm.
Okay.
Gary Nessner is the former chief of the FBI's Crisis Negotiation Unit. He has led negotiations during some of the world's most notorious hijackings.
If their primary objective is to go from A to B, then maybe we are at an advantage to getting them to B, and then dealing with it there.
Why don't I deal with the hijackers and you take over the controls?
One of the key requirements of the pilot's job is to maintain his own self-control, to be calm, professional. That will minimize the hijackers becoming more demonstrative and threatening.
Hello. My name is Plamen Stalev, one of the pilots in the cockpit. I urge the hijackers to remain calm and not to harm anyone. We have been informed of your demands, and we will do what you ask.
You see? We're going to Vienna.
It is very important for me to try to assure them that they will achieve their aim and they will land it at Vienna airport.
What about Istanbul? Can we make it?
If they refuse the hijackers' request to fly to Vienna, passengers could die. If they do agree to divert, they'll likely run out of fuel. The pilots need another option.
We can do it.
Okay. Let's see if they'll accept the alternative.
The hijacked Balkan Bulgarian Airlines flight is halfway to Varna on Bulgaria's east coast.
If they do not fly to Vienna, you will all die!
You will die first.
In hopes of calming the hijackers, Plamen Stalev must now act as hostage negotiator.
When I enter in the passenger cabin, I realized that the situation is serious.
A small mistake could cost lives.
I saw the guy with knife. I was shocked.
I think you have to be very clear and in a detailed way advise the hijackers that, listen, this plane is not capable of flying all the way to Vienna unless a few things happen.
Stay calm. We want to help you. Vienna is a 2-hour flight and we don't have much fuel. We can reach Istanbul in less than
No, not Istanbul, Vienna.
Then we will need to make a stop to get more fuel.
No, you have enough fuel. Fly to Vienna. No stops.
We tried to negotiate with them, but they refused to accept.
I understand. Vienna. We will fly to Vienna. Don't have to hurt anyone. There's no reason to be afraid. We'll do what these men want and fly to Vienna. I will begin preparing for the flight to Vienna now.
Go.
Whoever's communicating with these folks is keeping the emotional levels in check. So our own behavior helps the people we're dealing with to stay calmer.
The hijackers on Flight 013 are desperate to escape their communist home. In 1983, large swathes of Eastern Europe are under the influence of the Soviet Union. These Soviet bloc countries are experiencing an exodus of people trying to reach the West.
Everything at that time was controlled by the state. So the prospects for these young people were pretty limited and bleak.
They said no. They want to fly straight to Vienna.
Stalev's initiation as a hostage negotiator has been successful so far, but he can't do what the hijackers want.
We realized that we're in a bad situation and we need help.
The crew of Flight 013 notifies controllers of their dire situation.
Balkan 013, emergency, emergency. We have been hijacked and request immediate assistance.
I was hoping that they will be able to give us advice and to prevent casualties.
They want to land in Vienna.
Balkan 013, understood?
You don't need a knife. I can't go anywhere. Thank you.
What are you doing? Be quiet.
You don't have to do that.
If you are not quiet, I will cut off your finger. Is that what you want?
I was trying not to shout, not to become crazy.
In the cabin, the threat to passengers is increasing.
Do you see? Do you see now? We are serious!
I was thinking that if I start to react with shouting or with crying, it will be no good for the situation.
We need direct contact with that controller.
A command center is set up in Sofia to manage the crisis.
It was a rapid reaction team from the Ministry of Interior, from the police forces, even from the military.
The hijackers insist on going directly to Vienna. They will not negotiate.
Okay. They're more than halfway to Varna. They've said no to Istanbul. There is probably not enough fuel to make it to Vienna.
Bulgarian officials are in a tough spot as they consider their options.
You run the balance of, do we try to accommodate these guys in some fashion that keeps their emotional levels in check versus the potential risk of conducting a very dangerous military or law enforcement assault of the airplane?
Yes, I will ask. Balkan 013, please confirm position and fuel on board.
Balkan 013 is currently approaching Gulf Romeo November. We have 1,300 kilos of fuel on board.
Are you able to divert to Vienna?
Negative.
How many hijackers, please?
There are 4 hijackers. They're armed with knives. They're holding a hostage and threatening to kill her.
They're extremely agitated.
Why haven't we turned? Huh? If we don't turn soon, people will die.
We can't let them to leave Bulgaria. Tell them to keep going to Varna.
Balkan 013, this is Varna Control.
Balkan 013.
You are not to divert.
Repeat, do not divert. Continue to fly to Varna full engine and await further instructions.
Officials in Bulgaria make a critical decision. In spite of the hijackers' threats, Flight 013 must continue to its destination.
There are countries around the world that, in my opinion, sometimes focus too heavily on punishing the bad guys. The real focus should be, what are those things that we can do that are most likely to enhance the survivability of the passengers and crew of that airplane?
Balkan 013 understood. Continue to Varna for landing
and await further instructions.
They can't find out.
Stalev knows the hijackers will turn violent if they discover the plan to land in Varna.
We should turn. As if going to Vienna.
Balkan 013, request permission to execute a series of turns.
We will maintain current altitude.
Balkan 013, you are clear to turn left or right. Say new heading.
We will resume our same heading.
Understood, Balkan 013.
Turn at your discretion.
The pilots execute a series of turns to convince the hijackers that the plane is diverting to Vienna.
Trickery and gamesmanship and fooling them is, generally speaking, a recipe for problems.
We are turning.
We're going towards Vienna. Like I told you, Vienna.
I was almost 100% convinced that we'll not land at Vienna airport. I don't know why. I can't explain this. Maybe it was really a sixth sense.
Very nice. Let's hope that does it. Balkan 013 is presently on heading 085 at flight level 130. And we are currently 120 kilometers to Varna.
There was no way for them to know that we are still flying to the east.
But is it enough to deceive the hijackers?
Are they tricking us? Are they tricking us?
They wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't. You see, I think they would. No one lie to us! If anyone lies, I will strangle a passenger.
It was really very stressful and very frightening.
Visibility will be 5 kilometers for landing on runway.
I will kill you all!
I think he could get violent. Okay, better get back there to calm things down. Engine 1 is running a bit hot.
The flight is rapidly approaching Varna. The pilots must assure the hijackers that they'll soon be in Vienna.
We'll be fine. You don't have to worry, okay?
What are you doing? Go back to the cockpit and fly the plane.
You don't have to shout. You're scaring people. Their families are not frightened. We are doing what you asked.
The passengers, they were scared. I decided to ask the hijackers to calm down.
It will take about an hour to reach Vienna. Why don't you sit down?
No. I expect to see Vienna in an hour. If I don't, I will blow up the plane. We have enough explosives to obliterate the plane!
So when they told us they have some liquids to blow up the aircraft, it was dangerous for us.
If the plane's aloft and all of a sudden now the hijackers introduce a weapon or explosive device, it certainly raises the concern of everyone.
They are 15 minutes out. We need more time.
Officials on the ground must now determine how to fool the hijackers into believing they're landing in Vienna, not Varna on Bulgaria's coast.
Tell them to fly north of Varna and circle over the sea.
To buy some time and create the impression of a longer flight to Vienna, the decision is made to fly past Varna and circle over the Black Sea.
Falcon 013, you are to fly heading 080 north of Varna.
Maintaining the holding pattern over the sea.
080 past Varna and over the Black Sea. When we get to 15 kilometers out, we'll start a holding pattern. It will help them believe we are flying to Vienna, but no steep turns. I'll keep an eye on the fuel.
So we decided to circle over the Black Sea, first to give them illusion that we are flying to Vienna, and the other thing was to give to the ground services enough time to prepare everything for landing.
Flight 013 begins circling over the Black Sea, but must land in less than an hour or run out of fuel.
Why did you choose Vienna?
Be quiet.
Do you have plans when you get there?
This is not your business. Stop asking questions, huh?
I wanted to distract them from what is happening outside of the plane.
Who would believe that's Vienna?
It's now obvious to the pilots that when they land near the Black Sea coast, the hijackers will realize they're not in Vienna.
The risk was that Varna could be really easily recognized from the air, because Varna is a coastal city. Vienna is not at the sea, it's on a river.
Authorities need to find a way to make the hijackers believe they're landing in Vienna instead of Varna, and there isn't a lot of time to do that. Stalyev has a bold plan.
They have to turn off the lights.
At the airport?
No. The whole city.
If they recognize Varna, they will start kill passengers. We need to avoid this. That's why we propose them to cut off the electricity of Varna.
Balkan 013. If we are going to land at Varna, we suggest turning off the city lights so they don't make out the coast.
Balkan 013, you are requesting they
cut the power to the city of Varna. Is that correct?
Balkan 013, that is correct.
It was really an ingenious idea to cut the power of the whole city. Back at the time, Varna was one of the largest cities in Bulgaria with a population in between 200 and 300,000 people. So that was probably only doable in a communist country.
Can we cut the power here without cutting the airport lights?
The effort to disguise your true destination now requires a lot of activities. Every one of those just increases the chance that you will be found out.
For the plan to work, officials will need to cut power to most of the city of Varna and surrounding areas, but leave the airport lights on so they can land.
Okay, do what has to be done, but we don't have much time.
We're down to 550 kilos. We can't stay out here much longer.
Flight 013 has been circling for almost an hour. It will have to land in Varna in the next 30 minutes, whether the lights are off or not.
Balkan 013.
What needs to be done will be done. We'll report conditions on frequency 127.45.
Understood. 127.45, Balkan 013. And we need firefighters and ambulances. They may have a flammable liquid. There's a possibility of a fire.
The people on the ground must be prepared for this, and in this situation it was a lot of stress.
Cutting the power to an entire city needs to be carefully coordinated and will take time.
This has to be done without causing any panic to the city. All important buildings, as hospitals, for example, jails, and other administrative buildings, has to be warned in advance in order for them to take certain measures.
With every passing minute, the risk increases that the hijackers will realize they're being tricked and make good on their threat to kill passengers.
Да. Go ahead. I'll stand by. They are ready to cut power.
Just after 7:30 p.m., the power to Varna is switched off and the city goes dark. Even boats near the shore are ordered to extinguish their lights.
Okay, good. I'll inform them to begin the approach. Balkan 013, you may begin your approach to Varna. Runway will be 27 on heading 035. Descent is at your discretion. Only runway lights will be active. The rest of the city will be dark.
Balkan 013 will begin the standard approach in 5 minutes. Look at that. They did it.
When we saw that the city was dark, it encouraged us to believe that the plan will be successful.
Nav lights are on, boost bombs on.
The pilots of Flight 013 are minutes away from landing at Varna. They still have no idea what will happen once their plane is on the ground. 10 miles from Varna, the pilots of Balkan Bulgarian Airlines begin their final approach to the now darkened city.
I'll prepare the cabin for landing. As you can see, we've begun our descent towards Vienna. We'll be on the ground in just a few minutes. Everyone should sit down and fasten their seatbelts now.
Vienna. I don't see Vienna!
The hijackers are suspicious.
It was very dangerous moment.
I don't see Vienna. I see water. Why do I see water? This is not Vienna.
That is the Danube. We are almost in Vienna.
Balkan 013, heading now 274, approaching flight level 50.
I just heading to 277.
Landing gear. Not locked. Only 2 green.
Just 5 miles from the airport, the pilots have a new problem.
There was no indication that the nose gear was down and locked.
It suggests a low pass, so the tower can check the gear. We can't do that.
The low pass is not a so complicated thing, but there is a risk the hijackers to recognize Varna.
A low pass of the airport tower is out of the question.
We're down to 200 kilos. We have to land.
We have no more fuel than 2-3 minutes.
The pilots must decide what to do as quickly as they can.
Okay, performing check of the warning lights.
They determine that it's most likely just a burned out bulb. They're confident the gear is down and locked.
Balkan 013.
We are ready to land, runway 27.
Balkan 013, maintain heading 300 degrees for runway 27.
300 degrees.
They will be on the ground in 4 minutes.
Okay, let's get down to 500 for precision approach to runway 27.
They are landing here. We'll get them to pull off the runway and stop here on taxiway 4. And that's where we get on.
Officials plan to storm the plane once it's on the ground.
This operation was done by the state security forces. Negotiating with the hijackers was never an option. They were either gonna be captured or just killed.
500 feet, 100 knots.
Flight 013 is within sight of the runway in Varna.
Fully stabilized for landing.
So far, the hijackers believe that they're landing in Vienna.
We're almost there. When we land in Vienna, you should come with us.
I can't. I just can't. My family will be waiting for me to get back.
So I was trying to stay calm and to do my job.
50 feet, 40, 30. Drops to reverse, 50 knots, 40.
Falcon 013.
Please proceed slowly to taxiway number 4.
And stand by for instructions.
Thank you. It'll be a right turn onto taxiway 4. Keep it slow.
Switch off your engines.
Roger. I'll go see what they want us to do.
When we landed, we asked the hijackers to tell us their intentions because we have to inform the authorities.
I want to see the sign that says Vienna.
You can't see it from here.
And I want to see Austrian custom agents. Bring them on the plane.
We can arrange that.
See who you can find that speaks German. This needs to happen fast.
The actual plan was to disguise 2 airport employees as border police to get them to scout the plane for the local police, who would then be storming the aircraft.
As the authorities try to find German-speaking airport workers to disguise as Austrian border guards, the hijackers make moves of their own.
Come here. Take her to the bathroom. If anything happens, kill her. Hey! Stay on them.
Please. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Please. Please don't kill me.
I was thinking that maybe this is the most dangerous moment.
Okay. They're here. I'll have to open the door.
I knew that the police is ready and outside, and I didn't know how all this will end.
The fake Austrian officials board the plane to convince the hijackers that they are in Austria.
They found a ticket agent and a customs agent to pretend to be Austrian border police and send them to the plane.
They're not Austrian. Look, he's wearing a Bulgarian jacket.
One of the hijackers recognized that those people are not Austrian.
They tricked us. They lied to us! Go! Valentin, kill her! Kill her now!
At this time, somebody shouted, kill her. And I was thinking that I'm going to die.
Everyone stay in their spots!
The Bulgarian plan to deceive the hijackers has backfired. The lives of all the passengers and crew are now in grave danger.
I feel that everything is lost. All our efforts and all things that we did were lost.
The hijackers on board Balkan Bulgarian Airlines Flight 013 know they aren't in Vienna and are about to execute their hostages.
No! They will kill the passengers!
I told them to start their operation immediately.
Armed Bulgarian police quickly board the plane.
It was complete chaos. They quickly managed to disarm 3 of the hijackers, while at the meantime, outside of the plane, there were more security forces just waiting to storm the aircraft.
There's another one in there. He's going to kill the flight attendant.
I hear somebody to shout, open the toilet, because he'll kill her. This happened very quickly, for a fraction of a second.
Please.
They shouted at him to let me go, but he didn't. I was stabbed here, just millimeters from the artery.
Hijacker Valentin Ivanov is killed.
It was a dangerous situation because we were very close, and it was very possible to kill me instead of him.
When we decide to take preemptive tactical action to rescue someone, the outcomes are not always what we want. The good guys don't always win, and we could very easily lose a hostage in an attempt to save the hostage.
2 hours after the hijacking began, the ordeal is over. All the passengers are safe.
I feel good because we did our job. We saved aircraft, we saved passengers, we saved Valia.
While the 3 surviving hijackers await trial, authorities in Bulgaria try to find out as much as they can about the young men and their plan.
They were all in some kind of trouble, but nothing like this.
They learn that all 4 have criminal records for petty crimes.
These were just 4 young lads who have committed some petty crimes in the past. 2 of them were previously serving in the military. 1 was still actually actively there. But these were just 4 people who didn't see any prospects for themselves.
They didn't spend a lot of time thinking it through. They put their knives in Sofia a few hours before the flight. They hid their knives behind the belt buckle to get through security. They get through security 15 minutes apart to avoid attracting attention.
The security on domestic flights back at the time was much looser than international flights. And probably that is the reason why they did manage to go through all the controls with the knives on them.
And then they board the plane. They don't realize they can't possibly make it to Vienna.
I don't think that their plan was thought out well. I think they just made it in a hurry, and we actually have the proof.
Their misguided plan was to ask for political asylum in Vienna.
They thought that when they reach Vienna, they'll be granted asylum by the Austrian authorities. I think they didn't realize that they're just going to be arrested and put in jail.
After a short trial, the 3 surviving hijackers were given sentences of between 7 and 10 years, with Lachazar Ivanov receiving the stiffest sentence of 10 years in jail.
The thing that stands out to me most about this hijacking was getting the bad guys became the default objective. Instead of creatively looking at steps that could be taken to get it resolved peacefully, the default was automatically, we're going to fool them and trick them and get control of them.
Airport security for domestic flights is increased, and the incident aboard Balkan Bulgarian Flight 013 is the last hijacking in Bulgaria. Plamen Stalev did become a captain and flew with Balkan Bulgarian for 8 more years before moving on to other airlines. 40 years later, he's still flying commercially.
Our mission was successful because we were a team. The crew, the ground staff, the military, the policemen, we were one team, and the result was success.
Flight attendant Valentina Yordanova recovered fully and returned to work a few weeks after the hijacking. She continued working as a flight attendant for Balkan Bulgarian Airlines for 17 more years.
For me, flying is something very special. Actually, flying is in my heart and in my blood. And I decided to continue my work and to fly.